versa, who you were before there was an HCM diagnosis, when your sister was still alive.
Oof.
Tell me who you were.
So I was actually diagnosed very young.
Okay.
I was diagnosed at 12. So how many memories do I actually have before the age of 12? Not a ton. So I was just a kid in Jersey. My dad had a store in Morristown. We used to go hang out in the streets of Morristown, see a movie, go to the Tea Garden, which was a Chinese restaurant. And that was life. Going to the store on Saturday, going skating Saturday night, hanging with your friends, 12 years old.
So how were you diagnosed?
A murmur was detected
At like a normal visit?
at a school screening.
Oh, I remember those.
Remember those?
Yeah.
So you're in the line and you're out in the hallway, and then when you walk into the first set of doors, you had to take off your shirt.
Yep.
I was 12. Do you remember how traumatic that was?
100%. Yeah.
Who didn't, who had too much, who had too little, who didn't have a bra, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So took off my shirt, stood in front of the guy, and he went, head went down.
Right.
And then he said, clear the room. And I'm standing there, and everything came rushing in. My grandfather died when my dad was only 17. We didn't talk about him much. I knew it was a sudden death, but I didn't really know what sudden death was. I knew my uncle had a heart problem. I knew my sister had a heart problem, but we didn't talk about it much. I was required to go to a cardiologist within a week, or they weren't going to let me back in school. So I got the appointment with an adult cardiologist who had absolutely no business taking care of me. I was advised that I could die suddenly and unexpectedly, and nothing was going to help me. CPR wasn't going to bring me back. I have no idea why an adult cardiologist thought that was an appropriate thing to say to a 12-year-old.
Yeah. How did you handle that?
If I talked about it with my friends, it made them uncomfortable and it made them exclude me. So I didn't talk about it with my friends. I didn't talk about it with my parents. There were 2 people I could talk to. You know one of them. One of them was my best friend at the time, and the other was my sister. So the friend Julie was the very first person that I connected with after they gave me the news in the nurse's office. Literally walked out of the door, come to a cross section, and there Julie is coming around the corner, right in my face. Exactly what I needed. And she looked at me, she goes, what is wrong with you? And I'm like, I got what my uncle and sister have, and my grandfather died of, and I know it. She's like, oh, you don't know that. I'm like, pretty much do. And she gave me a big hug. She's like, you got this. And off she flitted down the hall, and I'm like, all right. And that's how I handled it. I'm like, okay, Julie says I'm going to be okay, so I'm going to be okay.
Right.
And flash forward 40 some odd years, and I called Julie one day and like, hey, do you want to come work for my organization? And she's been on staff for 5 years. So like, she gets it. She was there for the beginning, and she knows what I probably needed back then in terms of support that wasn't available in the system. Yeah. So my parents did not take me back to a cardiologist ever. When I turned 18, my sister said, come with me. And we went to the cardiologist at 18. So I went from 12 to 18 with a fuck it, I'm going to die attitude. That could have been so dangerous. And in today's world, it could be even more dangerous.
And so talk to me about the morning that you got the phone call about Lori.
Okay, so the question literally just sent chills down me. It really starts the night before, the week before. I was 8 months pregnant. My sisters and my mom threw a baby shower for me the first Sunday in June, which I think was the 6th that year. And on the way home from the baby shower, I was going up Route 23. It's a divided highway. And I was the first car to go after the light. And all of a sudden, there's a car coming straight down the road at me while I'm 8 months pregnant, and my car filled with all this stuff from the baby shower. And there's a car heading right for me. So that kind of, I had to swerve off the road. It was very dramatic. And then, so that was the drama that, like, because this woman was in trouble and there was some other stuff that happened there. So I was distracted with that. So when I got home, I would have called everybody and said thank you and had a little debrief, but I almost died on the way home. It was crazy. So the next Sunday, I'm sitting there like, I gotta debrief this with Lori. I'm like, hey, thanks so much for the shower. It was great. And we just went into bullshit session. And then my niece and nephew were playing in the backyard, and my niece was crying because John hurt her knee, and she's like, I have to go. The kids are killing each other. I'm like, okay, bye. That was normal. 5:55 a.m. the next morning, my phone rings. It's never good when your phone rings early. It's never good when your phone rings late. And it was my mom. She was in an absolute panic. Lori's not breathing. Your dad's on his way. The rig's on its way. What was going on in the house? My niece, my nephew were there watching this all happen and unfold. My nephew helped get his mother out of bed. Her husband at the time started compressions. My father took over. My brother brought the ambulance. My brother brought the rig and somebody else. My brother did CPR. Somehow they got her back. Back from where? And to what? So I drove from my house out in Sussex at that time down to Denville, which was 40 minutes, best case scenario, pre-cell phones. You're in a news blackout. What am I walking into? So I walked into a hospital and I saw my sister on a ventilator. It could have been 7 or 8 minutes by the time he found her, and then the resuscitation took a few minutes. So they got a heartbeat back, but there was too much brain damage. So here we are. June 12th, she has her arrest. June 14th, we do the first EEG artifact. And on June 16th, she was declared dead and became an organ donor. I actually found at my house, sitting on the dining room table right now, the organ donation card that I signed a few days after she died, saying I'm going to be on, I will be one too. I was already a donor. I was already signed on my driver's license, but I had the card now. And then, of course, I became evangelic about it because my sister gave her kidneys and her liver to others. So she gave bonus days to somebody else. But there was something in me. The same kid that knew that I was going to go into business and healthcare and science, but I didn't know how. I knew I was going to get a transplant someday. I knew it. I don't know why I knew it. I just knew that was my get out of jail free card. I knew my family history, but I knew science had been working towards this for me. The first transplant was done in 1967, December. I was born in August of 1968. Do the math. I was created in a world where transplant was a reality, and it just took them time to refine it. So 2017, when I got there, it's pretty easy. All those pioneers that came before us made this possible for us. That's not lost on me. Lori couldn't live. She could be somebody else's lifeline, though, and she'd want to do that. So we signed the papers for her to be a donor, and I said to my family, I'm going to be on the other side of this someday. Remember what this side feels like, to give. And I talk about this a lot with patients who are going to transplant and worried about their donor families and worried about, am I ghoulish for wanting an organ? Well, no, it's just going to go in the garbage. So what do we think about those people? Well, I was that person. And I know in the darkest day of my life, when my sister was going to die, I couldn't stop it, but she could do something good for somebody else. In all that black, there was this little pinpoint of light. Just a tiny little good thing we could do. Good thing she could do. And that made an almost unbearable situation bearable. And I still hold on to that. And I hope that my donor family has that spark, that they did something good for somebody, even though I've not met them, and I don't know that I ever will. I think I have them a lot. A lot.
So when did you start that HCMA or have the idea of it?
The original concept for a patient support group or network happened in April of 1995 with my sister.
Like a conversation?
A conversation
with your sister?
With my sister.
Okay.
She was taking the lead because she was the older one.
Of course.
And I was going to be her assistant. And we were going to build a support group for the families at NIH. My sister died because she was lied to by a researcher. So we actually filed a lawsuit. I was the administrator ad prosequendum, which stands for Vency. Basically, I was the bitch in charge. And I had legal rights to take action against the NIH on my sister's behalf for the benefit of the children. So I didn't benefit from it at all. I got my out-of-pocket mailing and fax and internet expenses repaid, which was like $5,000. And everything else went to the kids, but you don't get money when you sue the NIH. You get policy changes. So how patients can be consented, ensuring that there's no coercion. You can't hold another family member's participation in favor or against somebody else's access to an option. I started a fight with the United States of America. A little intimidating. We won. We did what we needed to do. And I took all of that as lessons on how to build advocacy efforts and how to make sure people don't get hurt, like my sister got hurt.
So you then went to transplant yourself.
I did. While I was shepherding other patients through their HCM journey, as like I gave up my day job in human resources, I gave up health plan administration, I was running the organization full time since 2005, and I was guiding patients all over the world. I saw the signals in myself that I was going into end stage failure, and I'm like, oh, that's bullshit, I feel fine. And I had convinced myself that I felt fine, and I did not feel fine. And it was a very slow degradation of my quality of life. 2011, I'm fine. 2012, I'm fine. 2013, And I started to notice more symptoms, but I was trying to build something and I was in a hurry to build it so it would last beyond me. So I didn't want to stop because I wasn't done yet. And then one day, I was in Washington, D.C. This sounds so dramatic. I got invited to the White House.
Incredible.
For the second time.
Yeah.
And it was a conversation about cardiovascular health in America. So I got up at the White House to make this comment about genetic disease, and my heart had been wonky. And the day before, I actually took a nap. I don't take naps. Still don't take naps. And I got up and I almost passed out in the White House. I had a run of arrhythmias I'd never felt before, and I'm like, what is this? And I'm like, oh, just shut up and sit down and don't make drama because you don't want to like go out of the White House in an ambulance. So I collected myself. I went home. It was a real hard journey getting home. Trains were delayed. I was so tired. I was laying on the floor of Union Station. I love Union Station, but you don't want to lay on the floors there. I got home. I was really tired, and I had to go to a wedding. It was a casual wedding. It was a bring a plate kind of a wedding. So I went to the wedding. And then that night, my daughter had bought me tickets for my birthday to a double heart concert. And then the next day, I had to go to Grand Rapids, Michigan to do a site visit. And I was so tired. I almost passed out in Detroit Airport. I'm like, when I get home, I'm going to fix me. So I got home. I went to the Morristown Medical, and I'm like, something's wrong. And they looked at me, and they're like, you look like shit. They admitted me. We tried to get some fluid off of me. I tanked. I wasn't able to speak. I couldn't put a sentence together. I couldn't put a thought together. I was okay. Then I was a little sick, and then I wasn't. And a week in the hospital, I was discharged to being evaluated for a transplant. I almost died because I was not recognizing the symptoms. So I thought the best thing that I could do with the story was be as raw and as public as possible. I held my ICD in my hand the day I got home from transplant, and I was on Facebook Live with the group. They had kind of pulled the leads, so they were fragmented. I wrapped it around my hand. They didn't turn it off.
Shoot.
I shocked myself.
No, you didn't.
I did.
On camera?
Live. So the first and only time my ICD shocked me, it was in my hand.
Oh, my word.
So, like, I just lived out loud and shared those moments and got the blood pressure cup. I'm like, nope, she's good. This heart's good.
Yeah.
And at that point, I just referred to the new heart as she, because I knew it was a female donor. I didn't have any other connection with it at that time. But it took a while to go from you're in the hospital, you're in the White House, you're in the hospital, you're here, and then you need a transplant, and you need it now, and you got to get the, and now you're there, and it happened, and you're like, that was a really long wait for something that felt like it just happened in a minute. There are very few pieces of literature that really resonate with me. And I came upon some of Mary Oliver's writings, and I have visual problems because I had a stroke before my transplant due to endocarditis 3 weeks after my wedding. Almost killed me, very dramatic. So I do a lot of YouTube listening to things or audiobooks. It just works with my brain better. And I came across her reading A Summer's Day. And there was something about her tone, that poem, and where I was in life about the poem A Summer's Day and the phrase, tell me what it is you plan to do with your one wild and precious life. Like, what else is there? Like, what else is important to you? Like, what are you doing with your life? Like, that's all that really matters. I was brought up in a family that did a lot of volunteerism. Even though my parents did not take good care of my heart, they didn't know how to do that. There's other parents like that out there that don't know what to do for their kids' hearts, or people who don't know what to do about their own health and they're afraid to act and they don't know where to get information. It's why I do what I do. Just trying to make it a little bit better for the next person. We're smarter. We have tools. We have things that we can put together to make their journey a little easier. I love Mary Oliver's way of looking at the world because it's not surface. It's deep.
Perfect.
There you go.
I love it.